Hey everyone, welcome to Resistance Book Club. My name is Keita, and this here will be a January through April wrap up. This is long. This is long. So I think you just gonna need to grab some snacks and some drinks, and let's get to it. All right, so and this is all because I don't have my videos. So I decided to just combine it into one video of all the books that I have read so far, from January all the way up until April. And I figured to do it like that because I didn't feel like putting it in like separate videos like I did before. It's just too much. So I just wanted to just do it all in one shot. So now, the other thing is that these are Kindle. They're all on my Kindle, and I also have listened to half of them, and some I just had to read on the Kindle. So you will probably have seen that in the title of the video anyway. So let's go ahead and get to it. This here is in no particular order. I'm just going to be random with it and just go. Ready. Let's start off with Lore of the Wilds. All right, so Lore of the Wilds is, hold on. Okay, so this here is a romantasy from a debut author by Annalise Sabrana. Excuse me. And so, again, a romantasy in the land ruled by ruthless Fae, 21-year-old Lord Alamayu's village is trapped in a forested prison. Lore knows that any escape attempt is futile. Her scars are a testament to her past failures. But when her village is threatened, Lore makes a desperate deal with a Fae Lord. She will leave her home to catalog/organize an enchanted library that hasn't been touched in 1,000 years. No Fae may enter the library, but there is a chance a human might be able to breach the cursed doors. She convinces him that she will risk her life for wealth, but really she's after the one thing the Fae covet above all: magic of her own. As Laura navigates the hostile world outside, she's forced to rely on two Fae males to survive. Two very different, very dangerous, very attractive Fae males. When undeniable chemistry ignites, she's not just in danger of losing her life, but her heart to the very creatures she can never trust. If you want to know, the Audible time is 10 hours and 51 minutes, and it's narrated by Marcella Cox. I believe that is her name. And yeah, this here was debuted this year. I believe it was in February. I believe it was in February because I remember reading this in February. Um, I had to give this a 3.5. I really realized that romantasy is not my thing. Now I did enjoy I enjoy lore. I really do. And it's a very interesting name considering of lore, the world of Fae and the library. I believe that that's what it was, the library. Um, the two Fae guys that she was attracted to, one was like her best friend, the other one was just an unknown that she had met. And yeah, the spice in it, okay, it was good. I was like, this is YA, all right. And I could care less about the romance part. I actually only cared about her being that she was really like a librarian. Like, she was there to be this sort of librarian to this library that had all these different types of books and curse books and stuff like that, just so she can help her community out. And yeah, lo and behold, these two guys, one is her best friend, the other one not. But yeah, and they had the romance in it. Again, it's not really my thing, but I do have to say it was definitely a great debut because I read it, like I didn't listen to it. So when I read it, read it all the way through, and so it kept me intrigued. But I think my intrigueness came from me wanting to learn more about the Fae world and learn more about this library. And the library was definitely my thing. Like I was sitting there just eating it up. Okay. So definitely if that is your thing, the romanticy of it all is your thing, go ahead and get it because it's just not for everybody. Okay. But I did enjoy it for what it is. The next one, since we're on libraries, let's go to the personal librarian. So this here was actually a pick for a book read that Jaleesa is doing for Beyond the Book Cover. I put her stuff down in the description. So I read one of the books that I had to read was The Personal Librarian, and this here is a collaborative author of Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. So it's white author and a black author. The narrator is Robin Miles. Always love her. And the total listening time is 12 hours, 23 minutes. I did listen to this as an audio. The synopsis reads is that in her 20s, Bella DeCosta Green is hired by J.P. Morgan to curate a collection of rare manuscripts, books, and artwork for his newly built Pierpont Morgan Library. Belle becomes a fixture in New York City society and one of the most powerful people in the art and book world, known for her impeccable taste and shrewd negotiating for critical works as she helps create a world-class collection. But Belle has a secret, one she must protect at all costs. She was born not Bella DeCosta Green, but Belle Marion Greener. She is the daughter of Richard Greener, the first Black graduate of Harvard and a well known advocate for equality. Belle's complexion isn't dark because of her alleged Portuguese heritage that lets her pass as white. Her complexion is dark because she is African American. So yeah, this here definitely in having to preserve her identity and pass for a white identity in the racist world in which she lives for the protection of her family and the protection of her legacy and her life. Yeah, this one was good. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but I loved it. So this one here, I actually gave it a 4.5. I thought it was really great. It does have a romance aspect, or big a little bit, but you have to read it to kind of understand where it's coming from. And it's just really just her trying to navigate her life as a young single woman in the world of where they have racism, hardcore racism, and you will get killed if you are really trying to pass for a white person. So the fact that she was able to get this job as a personal librarian was like a blessing in disguise, but also is it a curse? So all of that goes into play. I really, really enjoyed it. Jaleesa was like literally having not having troubles with it, but just more of like her reaction was just on it's on brand for what this story was. And we had some really good discussions about it. And I really, really enjoyed it. I really did. It was so good. So good. Next one, let's do Rust in the Root. And this here is by Justina Ireland. The listening time is 12 hours, 53 minutes, and this here was narrated by Jordan Cobb. So set in 1937, and Laura Ann Langston lives in an America divided between those who work the mystical arts and those who do not. Ever since the Great Rust, a catastrophic event that blighted the arcane force called the dynamic la, 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 dynamism and threw America into disarray. The country has been rebuilding for a better future, and everyone knows the future is industry and technology. otherwise known as mechomancy, not the traditional mystical arts. Laura disagrees. A talented young queer mage from Pennsylvania, Laura hopped a portal to New York City on her 17th birthday with hopes of earning her mage license and becoming something more than a root worker. But 4 months later, she's got little to show for it other than an empty pocket and broken dreams. With nowhere else to turn, Laura applies for a job with the Bureau of the Arcane's Conservation Corps, a branch of the U.S. government dedicated to repairing the dynamism so the Mechomancy can thrive. There she meets the Skylark, a powerful mage with a mysterious past, who reluctantly takes Laura on as an apprentice. As they're sent off on their first mission together into the heart of the country's oldest and most mysterious blight, they discover the work of mages not encountered since the darkest period in America's past, when black mages were killed for their power, work that could threaten Laura's and the Skylark's lives and everything that they worked for. This here I had to give it, I believe I given this like a 3.5 or a 3.7. It's probably like my lowest for Justina Ireland. I I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. There was a part where we get towards the end. And if you know me, you know I like one particular thing because I'm always rooting for it. It was good. It had the action, it had the adventure to it. I think I was getting lost in between the mechomancy, the what was the other one? The mechomancy and the Skylarks a little bit, her being a mage. And then I was like, well, what are we really doing? I was getting confused a little bit in between. And I had to like kind of sit there and try to put all of this stuff together. I think it was just a little thrown in there in a way, if that makes any sense. It just didn't resonate with me. I really believe that her duology of Dread Nation is probably her best work up to date. Rest in the Root is good. It's just it's not great for me. But I do love the mystical part, the mystical arts, the magic. It almost had like a Harry Potter type of feel to it in between, and I just thought it was okay. Like it didn't wow me. You know what I mean? Like it was just okay. But again, her Dread Nation duology is probably like hella best. I can reread that thing forever. Like that will be the one thing I can't reread. Dread Nation. But yeah, so 3.5 or 3.7, I gave it around there. Now let's go into, there was one, since speaking of Harry Potter, oh my God. I listened to Beyond the Wand, The Magic and Mayhem of Growing Up a Wizard with Tom Felton. Honey. Oh man. Anyway, Tom Felton is narrating this. It's 6 hours and 58 minutes. And honey, it is worth every bit of the 6 hours and 58 minutes. And he even has, like, at the end of the book, it's more like an update to the story. Let me just read y'all. Let me just read this, okay? Tom Felton's adolescence was anything but ordinary. His early rise to fame in beloved films like The Borrowers catapulted him into the limelight, but nothing could prepare him for what was to come after he landed the iconic role of the Draco Malfoy, the bleach blonde villain of the Harry Potter movies. For the next 10 years, he was at the center of a huge pop culture phenomenon, and yet in between filming, he would go back to being a normal teenager trying to fit into a normal school. Speaking with great candor and his signature humor, Tom shares his experience growing up as part of the wizarding world while also trying to navigate the muggle world. He tells stories from his early days in the business, like his first acting gig where he was mistaken for fellow blonde actor Macaulay Culkin, and his Harry Potter audition where, in a very Draco-like move, he fudged how well he knew the books the series was based on. Not at all. He reflects on his experiences working with cinematic greats such as Alan Rickman, aka Professor Snape, Sir Michael Gambon, aka um, Dumbledore, Dame Maggie Smith, aka Professor McGonagall, and Ralph Fiennes, aka Voldemort, including that awkward Voldemort hug. And perhaps most poignantly, he discusses the lasting relationships he's made over that decade of filming, including with Emma Watson, who started out as a pesky 9-year old whom he mocked for not knowing what a boom mic was, but who soon grew into one of his dearest friends. Then, of course, there are the highs and lows of fame and navigating life after such a momentous and life changing experience. Honey, like, I'm not rating this. Like, this was so good. This was so good. He killed it. He killed it with this narration. Like, you just felt like you was just a part of his journey. Like literally, if you've seen that HBO like documentary or reunion of the Harry Potter when they put it out at the beginning of January as like a New Year's thing, pretty much what you had seen on there is exactly what you're reading on here. You know what I mean? But all that and then some. It talked about his addiction that he didn't even realize that he had. He alcohol addiction, not drugs, just alcohol addiction. Um, and the funny thing is that you see him talking about how that affected him and his work. And the crazy part is that when he was talking about that tidbit of, the drinking and everything, he said that it started when, or I should say, it started getting worse when he did Murder in the First. And I will recommend that to anybody. Murder in the First has, I believe it's Taye Diggs in it. I'll put up the picture. But Tom Felton played the serial killer. And oh my God, he kills it. I'm going to say this. I've always been a fan of Tom Felton, for sure. It's one of those things, again, of when I tell people, is when when you see an actor and you're like, he has that thing. I'm going to follow him. And I did. And I follow him for everywhere he went. Even, I'm surprised he didn't even talk about his time on The Flash, man. Yes, he was on The Flash for one season, the TV show with Grant Gustin. He was on there. And he was also playing a forensic scientist. Like, he's just so good. I love his candor. I love his humor about it. I love that he took accountability for his actions. I love how he went ahead and apologized for his behavior, apologized for how he was being towards certain people. I love how he felt that he needed to go onto this journey for himself and he didn't want to bring anybody down, which led him to some other decisions, which I don't want to reveal. You would have to read that, to where it will help him go on a better journey. That's my favorite book for the year. Best nonfiction book of the year for me. And I'm biased because, again, I'm a huge Tom Felton fan. So I felt felt it in every way. There was a few things that happened to him, and thankfully it didn't go in the wrong place. But it's also the part that really strikes hard of him saying that, man, maybe moving to Los Angeles wasn't the best idea. And just seeing or hearing him feeling homesick, just talking about it was insane. Like it really started bringing him down. I love his conversations that he had with every single one of his castmates on the Harry Potter, and also his interaction with Snape. That was hilarious with Alan Rickman. Rest in peace to Alan Rickman. Rest in peace to Michael Gambon. They have both passed away. I believe Alan Rickman died shortly after the series had finally finished. Um, Lord, it's and his time with Emma Watson. That one was absolutely beautiful, and I'm happy that he discussed it a little bit further into this story, because I think a lot of people was just assuming that them two was together and all of that, but he really explained it in depth of what their friendship did for him and what it meant to him, and that they can move past all of those things that were happening to them and realize that no, we don't have to be like, have to like each other or be together or whatever. We're just friends. It was just great. And his friendship with Daniel Radcliffe, because believe it or not, when you have the good guy and the villain, you will fail to realize that a lot of them are just have a lot of things in common, and then you find out that they will be the best of friends on the up and up. You get what I'm saying? So everything was just so good. It was so good. And the biggest takeaway for me that almost had me like, I wanted to be in, excuse me, that almost had me in tears, I should say, is him and his grandfather. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing that he said in the beginning and in the end. And it's such a great read. If you haven't read it, please read it, because it's so good. It's so good. Okay, so the next one that I read is Slay, and this one here is by Brittany Morris. Listening time is 8 hours and 27 minutes. It's narrated by Kiersey Clemens, Michael Boatman, Alexandra Gray, Dominic Hoffman, and Cece Aisha Johnson. So this here is by day, 17-year-old Kira Johnson is an honor student, a math tutor, and one of the only Black kids at Jefferson Academy. But at home, she joins hundreds of thousands of Black gamers who duel worldwide as Nubian personas in the secret multiplayer online role-playing card game Slay. No one knows Kira is the game developer, not her friends, her family, not even her boyfriend Malcolm, who believes video games are partially responsible for the downfall of Black men. But when a teen in Kansas City is murdered over a dispute in the Slay world, news of the game reaches mainstream media, and Slay is labeled a racist, exclusionist, violent hub for thugs and criminals. Even worse, an anonymous troll infiltrates the game, threatening to sue Kiara for anti-white discrimination. Driven to save the only world in which she can be herself, Kiara must preserve her secret identity and harness what it means to be unapologetically Black in a world intimidated by Blackness. But can she protect her game without losing herself in the process? So this here was actually really good. I gave it a 4.5 stars. I thought it was really well. Like listening to it, I loved all the narrators. It had somewhat of like a Dungeons and Dragons type of vibe, and I thought that was actually pretty cool. But definitely totally different than that. But it was cool to see that this young Black woman who literally like created this game from scratch, you know what I mean, and invited all Black people. So it was really just for Black people, not any other race, just for them. So it's pretty much for them, by us, that type of thing. And I really, really enjoyed that part. I enjoyed the gaming process of it. I enjoyed what it meant to her to be only unapologetically black, but in the gaming world. Um, so much so that she had to be unapologetically black out in the real world. And that's what she had to fight for even more, knowing that she did this in the game. So, or did this by creating this game. And definitely the racism is in there. And when you find out towards the end, I think I figured it out when we got to the middle of the book and then towards the end. So once we got there, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. And just the reasoning behind it is crazy. I wish I could talk about it, but honey, okay, now you can't really trust everybody. Just be careful. Be careful when just be careful, young people. Um, but yeah, it was really good. It was very intriguing, inviting. The reading, listening experience was very easy to get into. Didn't have any problems. I really enjoyed the whole thing. I really did. So yeah, definitely worth the read. All right, so next one that we are on is that same, self same metal. Try saying that 3 times fast. Um, by Brittany N. Williams, and this here is 10 hours and 31 minutes. Narrated by Patricia Allison. So a stunning, sorry, 16-year-old Joan Sands is a gifted craftswoman who creates and upkeeps the stage plays for William Shakespeare's acting company, The Kingsmen. Joan's skill with her blades comes from a magical ability to control metal, an ability gifted by her head Orisha Ogun. Because her whole family is Orisha blessed, the Sands family have always kept tabs on the Fae presence in London. Usually, that doesn't involve much except noting the faint glow around a Fae's body as they try to blend in with London society. But lately, there has been an uptick in brutal Fae attacks after Joan wounds a powerful Fae and saves the son of a cruel lord. She is drawn into political intrigue in the human and Fae world. So, swashbuckling, romantic, and full of sights and sounds of Shakespeare's London, this series starter delivers an unforgettable story, a heroine unlike any other. So, I had given this, don't come for me if y'all really like this. I had given this like a 3.5. I was going to give it three stars, but I actually did enjoy that William Shakespeare, the vibes of it. I think in the beginning, you had me. You had me. You had me. Okay. I don't know what happened. I think it was the part of the Fae that didn't get me. And we started falling off. That is me. It's not you. It's just me. I was listening to it, and I promise you, up until it got to the Fae thing, and then I was like getting bored. But I love the world building. That part I was eating up. But you was feeling me with the Fae stuff. But the Shakespeare, her, with the swords, the blades that she was doing with the metal and everything, I was here for it. I was here for it. I was really getting into it, and then next thing you know, she saves this kid, and then I was like, what happened? Like, what happened? I don't know. Now, when I started putting all this stuff together, tell me why I didn't know that there was a book two. I didn't even know this was a series. And I just sat up there and just read that. And then I realized it's a series starter. So apparently it's called The Forge and Fracture Saga. And the second one is called Saint Seducing Gold. Can you believe that? I did not know that this was here. Okay. Because I knew it played out like there was a specific ending, like there, or I should say, there was no ending. Okay, so it came out this year. Probably that's why I didn't know that this thing came out. Okay, so it came out this year because it's saying 2020. Oh, look at that. The 23rd. It came out today that I'm making this video. So I went ahead and found it on my phone on Everin. So I found an Audible. I think I'm just gonna listen to it because I want to see how it ends. It did leave off a hanger, a cliffhanger, and a twist. But I want to see if we drive it home. Is it going to be a duology or is it just going to be like a continuous series or a trilogy or something like that? So I will be reading. I did not know it came out today. So kudos. I will listen to it. I just want to see how it ends. I didn't mind it. I just didn't enjoy it as much, but it's okay. Maybe you need to drive it home into this second book and I will enjoy it. That's all I'm going to say. All right. So, next one is The King is Dead. And this here is by Benjamin Dean. Listening is 9 hours and 3 minutes long. And this here was narrated by Ivano Jeremiah. So, heavy is the crown James has been born to wear, especially as the first Black heir to the British throne. But with his father's recent passing and with a new boyfriend to hide, James is woefully unprepared for the sudden shine of public scrutiny. When his secrets come spilling forth across tabloid pages and the man he thought he loved has suddenly disappeared, James finds himself on the precipice of ruin. As every detail of his life becomes public knowledge, his sense of safety is shattered, and the people he trusts the most becomes the likeliest suspects. This here was actually pretty decent. I had also given this like a 3.5. It wasn't bad at all. The story was just as generic as the next thing. I'm sorry, but it was. You know, you have your father that passed and now it goes to you. He does have a brother, but the brother didn't no, the brother couldn't, they're twins. They couldn't because, or I should say he couldn't become king because apparently um what's this kid's name? Look at me. James. James is the oldest. He was the one who came out first. So it went to him. And then just to have, for him to keep his sexual identity a secret, or orientation a secret, it was just like, here we go. It's one of those signs. But other than that, it was a good listen to. I kind of figure once we got to Act 3, I figured it out. It's always when I just always want to make sure that I know. And I did. And I found out. And then it was just more to it than just him being gay. It really didn't have anything to do with him being gay. It was just like he forced. And I don't really like that. I think that's what pissed me off the most is that you're forcing this kid to come out and he didn't want to and he shouldn't have to be honest. So other than that, it was still a good read. I just questioned like some of the reasoning behind certain things, like if you really are going to represent the community like that, like, but I get it because this is what the person is doing. He's hurting the family and everything, and this is how you hurt them. But nowadays it should just be like, yeah, okay, like you're gay, okay. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, so 3.5, I given that. Okay, next one I have is All I See is Violence, and this here is by Angie Alita Newell, and she is a Native American Indian author. So this here is the U.S. government stole the Black Hills from the Sioux as it stole land from every tribe across North America. Forcibly relocated American Indians were enslaved under strict land and resource regulations. Indigenous writer Angie Alita Newell brings a poignant retelling of the catastrophic true story of the 1876 Battle of Little Bighorn and the social upheaval that occurred on the Pine Ridge Reservation in 1972 during the height of the American Indian movement. Cheyenne warrior Little Wolf fights to maintain her people's land and heritage as General Custer leads a devastating campaign against American Indians, killing anyone who refuses to relocate to the Red Cloud Agency in South Dakota. A century later, on that same reservation, Little Wolf's relation, Nancy Swift Fox, raises four boys with the help of her father in law while facing the economic and social ramifications of this violent legacy. All I See is Violence weaves love, loss, and the hard truths into a story that needs to be told, a journey through violence to bear witness to all that was taken to honor what all of our ancestors lived through, and to heal by acknowledging the shadows in order to find the light. So this here was I did not listen to it because there is no audio for this, so I had to read it, and I read it. Like, it was good. It was so good. So 4 stars for this. Love the POV. The reason why I gave it 4 stars is because when I received it as a NetGalley art, I couldn't, there was no chapters to indicate which person we was following. So there's 3 people that we're following. We're following Nancy, we're following General Custer, and we're also following Little Wolf. I believe that's her name. Yeah, Little Wolf. And I was like, which one is this? So as I'm reading the chapter, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so this is this person. Okay, this is so it was kind of annoying to go through all of that. As eventually when I got into the middle of the book, and then I was like, okay, I know which one it is by this time. I wish that would have been on there of which person we was following. Each story was great. Of course, you're not there to light General Custer's POV because he's there to what? Kill those Indians. He wants them off their land. Make it make sense, sir. So anywhere after that, I only cared about Little Wolf and Swift Fox. I just need to know how their stories ended, and I love the parallel between the two. They are definitely, I believe, Swift Fox is the descendant to Little Wolf, and I thought that was really great because there is definitely a parallel story all the way to the very end, and I did not see that ending coming. Oh my God, I did not see that ending coming, but it did. And I was like, that's a good ending. That's a good ending. I don't know if that really happened, but that's a really good ending. Other than that, the story was absolutely live. I mean, it was on point. We was moving. She gave the story of the beginning, she gave the middle, and she gave the damn end. It's exactly what you need when you are dealing with war stories, and she did the damn thing. Really great if this is a debut, I believe. Really great start off. This story does need to be told everywhere, everywhere. We need to keep putting out more of Native American stories out there. It needs to be told. So this is one of those stories that really needs to be heard, and it needs to be read by a lot of people everywhere. In the libraries too. I'm actually making a list of all the things, of all the books that I want to request in the library. So that way we have more diversified reads in there. And that includes the Native Americans, Indians, and their stories. So other than that, yeah, 4 stars all the way around. I just didn't like it because it just didn't have the chapters of the names of the people of we were following. All right, come on, stick with me now. We're almost there. So, next book I've read is Bright Red Fruit, and this one here is by Safia El Helio. It's 4 hours and 21 minutes long, and she narrates this by herself. Um, I did not listen to this. I actually read it. It is poems. Is nothing. It's straight up poetry. So this here is Bad Girl. No matter how hard Samira tries, she can't shake her reputation. She's never gotten the benefit of the doubt, not from her mother or the aunties who watch her like a hawk. Samira is determined to have a perfect summer filled with fun parties, exploring DC, and growing as a poet until a scandalous rumor has her grounded and unable to leave her house. When Samira turns to a poetry forum for solace, she catches the eye of an older, charismatic poet named Horace. For the first time, Samira feels wanted, but soon she's keeping a bigger secret than ever before, one that could prove her reputation and jeopardize her place in community. In this gripping coming of age novel from the critically acclaimed author Safia El Helio, a young woman searches to find a balance between honoring her family, her artistry, and her authentic self. First off, this cover is badass. Like, I love this cover. It's so gorgeous. Um, Second, these poetries were everything. It was so beautiful. It was so touching. It was heartwarming. Definitely a coming of age. It kind of reminded me of Elizabeth Acevedo with her poetry. Dag, I almost forgot. I forgot the I forgot the title of her poetry, the one that I really, really, really enjoy. But anyway, everything about it was so great. I believe that Samira is Sudanese, and of course, when you have that type of family, that community, it's very strict. The mom was very strict and kept her under lock and key. Um, didn't want her to be out, didn't want any rumors to be starting because there were rumors going around. But the poetry was definitely her safe haven, and she ate up poetry. Like that poetry that she was putting out was hella amazing. I love her, the way her friends, how she interacted with her friends, and how they had their issues and finally came together. I love how she utilizes the artistry of poetry to get her feelings across and to kind of explain where she is, how she's feeling, what is she feeling about. Please, take me for who I am, take me seriously. Don't, always treat me like a child. I can handle it and blah blah blah. So it was beautiful. Definitely is um for the young adults that are in like high school that have been held in the house all the time. I've never been, so I don't know what that's like. I've always been able to just go wherever I want as long as I let them know where I'm going. um and yeah, so it was great. I gave it a 5 stars. It was so good. I'm actually in the process of getting this book because I want it on my shelf for sure. So yeah, definitely worth the read. All right, next one we have is the Diablo's Curse, and this here is by Gabe Cole Nova, and it's narrated by Vico Ortiz. Listening, listening time is 11 hours and 58 minutes. This here, I believe, is a debut. I'm not too sure if this is. But I did not listen to this. I actually read it. It was actually really good. So the synopsis is Dami is a demon determined to cancel every deal they've ever made in order to tether their soul to earth and become human again. There's just one person standing in their way, Silas, an irresistibly and stubborn cute boy cursed to die young, except for the deal with Dami that is keeping him alive. If they cancel the deal, Silas is dead. unless they can destroy the curse that has plagued Silas's family for generations. But to do so, Dami and Silas are going to have to work together. That is, if the curse doesn't kill them first. This here was so good. It was such a great journey. I'm still thinking of if I really want to get this book because it was fun. Like it was really a fun read. I love the queer representation in it because you have Dami who excuse me is non-binary, so the pronouns is they and them, and you have Silas who's a queer gay man, and then you also have the girl, but I can't think of her name, and she was just trying to figure out what her identity is, and I believe she was falling in the line of what Dami is, which is non-binary. So definitely it was a representation all the way around, very beautiful, and it had almost the Pirates of the Caribbean type of, adventure of going to the island and trying to find, this box and all this other stuff. And it was just so great. I had given this a 4 star. It was so good, intriguing. We get to the end and I'm like, I need just a little bit more, So hopefully there might be another one, but if not, I'm good. I don't, it's just me. It's just me, but I really did enjoy what um what the author had accomplished with this. Gabe did such a really good job with this book. So love the characters, love what the story was about, love that we not only had this one plot, but we had another plot and it was just connecting with each other. Love that it was almost like a found family in a type of way because it's not like there was any spice or anything. It was just more of like we see each other. We see each other for who we are. And I thought that that was really beautiful. So definitely it was great. All right, we got two more. Okay. I think these you will probably enjoy. So the next one we have is So Let Them Burn. And this here is by Camilla Cole. The listening time is 11 hours and 24 minutes and is narrated by Kaylor Lee and Kamali Minter. And it looks like it's going to be a series. So it says that it's the series is titled The Divine Traders. Farron Vincent can channel the power of the gods. 5 years ago, she used her divine magic to liberate her island from its enemies, the dragon riding Langley Empire. But now at 17, Farron is all powered up with no wars to fight. She's a legend to her people and a nuance to her neighbors. When she's forced to attend an international peace summit, Farron expects that she will perform tricks like a trained pet and then go home. She doesn't expect her older sister Alara form an unprecedented bond with an enemy dragon or the gods, claiming the only way to break that bond is to kill her sister. As Farron's desperation to find another solution takes her down a dark path and Alara discovers the shocking secrets at the heart of the Langley Empire, both must make difficult choices that will shape each other's lives as well as the fate of their world. By turns hopeful and devastating, So Let Them Burn is a masterful debut with a blazing heart. Oh, that was by Chelsea Abdullah, the author of the Stardust Thief. This here, I loved it. I ate it up. I'm sorry. This here was a 5 star. Apparently, it's a Jamaican inspired. Um, and you have Farron and Alara, they're sisters, and Farron is clearly the one that's powerful, but apparently during these ceremonies or whatever, you're supposed to bond. They're not supposed to bond. There was like other people that are supposed to bond, but it just so happened that Alara was able to bond with the dragon, and it happened to be a dragon that she really wasn't supposed to bond with, but ended up bonding. It was so good. I love the sister bonding. Now, as far as like the Jamaican inspired, I mean, we only got little bits and pieces. I think she was just only wanting to explain like the world around it. But yeah, I mean, there was like little, I mean, I think I was just here for the story of it all and the relationship between Farron and Alara. And that was definitely happening throughout the story. So I love any type of story that actually have like sibling relationships going on. Um, Also, too, dragons. Always here for it. Love the dragons. Okay, love it. I tell you, I'm here for the dragons. I'm always an advocate for the dragons. They're the best, and they just spruce up the story a lot better. But other than that, it was still so good. I really enjoyed the read. Again, I had given it a 5 stars, but I can understand the issue of her not of Camilla Cole of not putting more of the Jamaican heritage and traditions and stuff in the story. I mean, I'm pretty sure she'll probably rebuke it, but to, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. Now, if clearly with it being a series, maybe we'll get a little bit more into it. But I'm here for the story, but the world building don't actually have to happen in book one. You can leave nuggets here and there, and then you just understand it as a complete whole, in my opinion. But other than that, it was still a great story. Really, really, really loved it. Okay, last one is Faebound by Sarah El Arifi. Oh God, I hope I pronounced that right. This here is 13 hours and 34 minutes and is narrated by Bonnie Turpin. This here, child, hold on, let me just get to this. Yurin was born on a battlefield, has lived on the battlefield, and one day she knows she'll die on the battlefield. As a warrior in the Elven army, Yurin has known nothing but violence her whole life. Her sister, Lettel, is trying to make a living as a diviner, seeking prophecies of a better future. When a fatal mistake leads to Yurin's exile from the Elven lands, both sisters are forced into the terrifying wilderness beyond their borders. There they encounter the impossible, the Fae Court. The Fae haven't been seen for a millennium, but now Urin and Leto are thrust into their seductive world, torn among their loyalties to each other, their elven homeland, and their hearts. Honey, and this is another sibling story of togetherness and what it means to be together. What it, I mean, or like not together, but I'm saying like to being together as the sisters, to being together as family, to having each other's backs. I mean, this here was a 5 stars. I had listened to this. I listened to this. This was so good. So good. And technically, the one who's the diviner, she really wasn't forced out. She just followed her sister out. Like her sister was exiled and then she was like, nah, you ain't fitting to be exiled. If she go, I'm going. And then she just went ahead and found her like a day later or something like that. But the twist at the end, I'm here for it. Honey, we need that next book like this year. So I'm hoping that this book comes out at least like next year or something like that. But yeah, I've so I read this before I read the Final Strife and the Battle Drum, the End of Fire trilogy. I still haven't read it yet, but this is my first introduction to the author, and I'm happy that this was my first introduction to the author because now I can go into the End of Fire trilogy with both hands open and ready to read, and I'm sure I'm gonna love it. So yeah, I'm excited. So this here was definitely a 5 star read for me. Love that it just kept me going. I was so here for it. I think I finished it in a day, to be honest, or a day and a half. It was pretty long, but I was going, honey. I was going. But yeah, other than that, that was it for all of the books that I've read. That's not even touching half of it, clearly. And these here was really good. You know, of course, we have some that wasn't for me, but other than that, it's been a great read so far for this year. And yeah, I can't wait to see what else I'll have in store. So let me know down in the comment sections of which ones have you read, which ones are you interested in, which ones sound good. And if you read it, how many stars did you give it? What was your rating? And yeah, or just leave something, some other comments down. Just be nice. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. This is the way. Peace.